triple check that we're in the group. All good, and it's streaming fine. Look at that. We've got a little countdown going on, Matt.
Very nice.
Hell yeah. Sweet. So it looks like, yep, we're live. Looking all good in the group. So what are we going to go over today, Matt? Because I'm pretty pumped about talking about the new age stuff.
Well, yeah, and the cool thing is that I get excited all the time because we try to look for the new age stuff, and I try to look for new age innovation to go with it, and it's still back to the old ancient herbs, and nature knows best. And so we got a lot of tools, historical and traditional tools that we can utilize to protect us for the future, which is what I love about being an earthling.
Bloody oath. We'll just give this at like another minute because we did tell everyone we'll be on it at 9.
Yeah.
We'll give it one more minute and then we'll get stuck into it. Anyone that is coming in, just chuck a thing in the chat just to make sure that you can hear us all fine and all that sort of stuff. Just making sure that that's coming through all clear, all the audio and everything.
Yep.
Sweet.
Cool.
Doozy. So that's hit on 9 o'clock now. So what we're going to talk about today is, like for me, I'm having, sleep stuff that it isn't the best at the moment. And I can, kind of tie that back to a lot of screen time and like faster pace of living. And I think that's going to be like super relevant to a heap of people. So, let's get into that and then talk about different products and how they can help out with mitigating that.
Yeah, well, it's extremely important, especially, I run a code of ethics of first do no harm. And then I go and ask everyone to log into these online groups so that we can talk about health. So while we're doing it, we should protect ourselves from our own devices and our modern world. But it's not just screen time that comes in with it. It's that whole loss of grounding, that distortion of light between the blue light, there's artificial blue lights, and then other natural lights that would work on the pineal gland. There's so many things to consider, even including the electromagnetic radiation that we're sitting in amongst to utilize all these devices in our Internet of Things that includes us. So, and everything's holistic. And so while we're looking at these big holistic processes, we've got to understand that part of our holistic system will include screen time, electromagnetic radiation, maybe bad systems getting in touch with nature, sunshine, grounding, and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, fully. And I've been doing that a bit recently, like because I'll have a stint on the laptop or whatever, jamming out, doing some content or whatever it needs to be. And then I'll literally just go walk outside and have a look at the sun and put my feet in the grass. That's been helping out a bit for sure.
Yeah, that's a massive thing because we actually need the groundings, not just one of those grounding in relation to, spirituality, that your roots of a tree are going into the core of the earth or something like that to, get the energy out of your head. But it's also that straight up electromagnetic grounding where we actually need to remove some of the static electricity that we're building up by living in amongst so much technology. And these radiation things, they're all, they talk about radiation like how you get ionizing or non-ionizing, where the ionizing ones actually damage things by cooking them, and the non-ionizing, that's a hard word to say, actually, non-ionizing. That one there doesn't do the cooking and doesn't cook you, but it still can do other damage. And our body's evolved. By the way, this is not things that we can't deal with. This is just because this is a new and coming from a tower, does not mean it's not something that we can adapt to and deal with and survive through, no problem at all. We've evolved to deal with solar flares and all forms of natural radiation and that sort of stuff. So we'll be capable of surviving and adapting to these other, 5G networks and the Internet of Things if we utilize certain tools.
Yeah, fully. And like from my perspective as well, like more excessive screen time, like because I'm bringing it back to this, like from a nervous system standpoint as well. Like what sort of effect does that have? Like when you are always being stimulated, from, videos, TikTok, all that sort of stuff. Like I would love to know a bit more about what effect that has on the nervous system, because I feel
Yeah.
like that's something that keeps me sort of, just stimulated. And then it's harder to get stimulated from caffeine or, whatever, get amped up for a workout and those types of things. And
Yep.
is that something that will deplete you over time? Like, is it anything like that you've found?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, what we'll find is these weird forms of radiation and that they activate calcium channels. So when we talk about our neuromuscular pathways, and basically our body's full of on switches and off switches, or yin and yang, however you want to describe it. But we have on and off switches, and so what you'll find is a lot of pathways that we have. They say physics underlies all chemistry. So basically, we have all these chemical reactions that will occur just to trigger a flux into our cells as an on switch. And then that actually releases magnesium to block the calcium to switch it off. Okay. Actually, taurine works with magnesium to hold the magnesium in the gate, which is why magnesium and taurine work so well together. Calcium very rarely runs out because we have a massive store of calcium in our bones and teeth and everything that we can strip out and use them if we need to, for a survival response. So what I'm saying is basically these things will keep pushing that on switch. It'll keep driving that calcium channel to keep triggering our body to do things. We can deplete our magnesium, we can deplete our taurine, but basically we stay in a state of stimulation, as you're saying. All of those things, your body determines based on your emotion that's attached to it as whether it's traumatic or if it's fine. But it can be perceived as a stress, because the definition of stress is anything that makes a change in your body. And so if we're getting these triggers that are disturbing our equilibrium, then our body will trigger a cascade of defense mechanisms such as antioxidants or anti-inflammatory or pro-oxidant, pro-inflammatory, depending on whether it thinks we're in a survival state or a thrive state. So all of those things are a massive trigger to a stress nervous system, which ultimately is going to keep your sympathetic nervous system running faster. Now, your sympathetic nervous system is our survival one. So it'll do long-term memory, gut instincts, intuition. It helps with far vision, but it shuts down close vision and attention to detail. It helps you go really good with long-term memory, gut instincts, and intuition, but not concentration span, focus, and the ability to study and do short-term memory recall, so you're in that room and you forget why the hell you went there, but you can remember how you built the room, but you don't know why you're in the room, that sort of thing. So the sympathetic nervous system also helps you to be awake and alert, and it shuts down everything that's not necessarily important for short-term survival, which will be hormones and shagging and libido. Other things that aren't really handy in a survival mechanism is short-term memory, concentration span, focus, close vision, and attention to detail. It's more like find the exit and get the hell out of here. So the sympathetic nervous system keeps driving. The parasympathetic nervous system that does the rest and digest and the ability to recover and sleep, it doesn't get a chance to work because the sympathetic keeps driving. And then what happens is if these exposure, if there's screen time, if there's disturbance in the pineal gland with our sleep-wake cycles and all these things compound, then eventually it starts to override the stress nervous system. And you just basically it knocks that thing out of whack again. That ratios between survival mode and thrival mode. We're going to call that, we have to do a thing now. Thrival. So you're either in survival or thrival.
Yeah.
So now, the cool thing is like we talked about, you go outside, you get some sunshine in to reset the pineal gland, to let it know that it's still daytime and all that sort of stuff. You get your grounding to let your body know that you're still part of nature. There was a theory at once that your hypothalamus, so your brain, can gather, like it has access to about 2 million points of data or something at any one moment in time. I don't know how accurate that number is. That's just something that someone said and I've repeated it. So about 87.3% of all statistics are made up on the spot. But no, no. So this bloke was telling me there's 2 million points of data that your hypothalamus could pick up, but there's only 7 that we can focus on at any one time. And so what's really crazy about that is we do have the ability to get adequate stimulation through nature. and that sort of stuff. We just got to be able to focus on it. We just got to be able to actually look for the joy and all that sort of stuff in nature and get into all these different things. And I tell you what, when you get into a bit of survival stuff, you get into a bit of bush tucker and wild crafting and herb craft, it changes everything. Because all of a sudden, you're not just walking through the scrub, you're actually looking at all the plants. There's a difference between looking and seeing. You got to get into that zone, and all of a sudden you can get adequate stimulation out of nature, as opposed to needing the phone going on one social media app, the iPad going here while you're watching TV or working, because they're all the different points of data we're capable of doing. But really we need to get a better balance so our body works out where we are in space and time. Oh, and do you know how the body works out where we are in space and time?
No, tell us.
Man, it's a cool system.
I've got a good idea. Yeah, you go.
No, so we have our eyes, our ears, and our ankles.
Okay? The little levels, hey?
Yeah. So our ears are like a spirit level, and they're swishing around all the time to compensate for the fact that we're on a rock spinning around another rock and going around. So they're born calibrated to be dealing with that sort of stuff. What we actually have is our ears, a massive important point, because when our eyes are closed, for example, if we're sleeping and that sort of stuff, and if our feet are off the ground, again, when you're sleeping, then it's all up to your ears to tell your brain where you are in space and time. Sometimes you feel like you're falling and, doing that sort of stuff. That could be astral projection coming back into your body. Could also be your inner ear just settling out, because them snow cone things. Oh, there's my thingy here. Those little snowy things. Yeah. They've got the little glitter and stuff inside them. That's what your inner ear's like. And so when you swish these little calcium things swish around, and then the brain goes, oh, okay, so this is the normal amount of swishing, and then it can calibrate your brain to let you know where you are in space and time based on the swishing. A lot of inner ear problems are where these people, their calcifications get big chunks fall off or something, and they lose their ability to have this swishing system, and then the nerves don't know if you're falling, walking, moving, driving. A lot of people get car sickness, seasickness, and all that inner ear. So much panic can come from the inner ear. If you've got bad inner ear problems, and then every time you're not getting good data from your eyes. Yeah. I used to play footy. And I was front row, like a meathead sort of thing. So, man, I've had so many head knocks, in my inner ear. And I was playing golf once, and a branch fell on my head, really messed up my inner ear. And it took me so long to don't actually recover.
Right time there.
I pity it didn't just fix it from the other knocks. I think a kid got hit by a donkey and could speak again. So the funny thing is the inner ear never often fixes itself, but it's all about calibration to let your brain know that this is how your inner ear is working now when you're in a safe and comfortable place. And that's how we can often get rid of a lot of panic attacks. And if it's an inner ear panic attack, because it's typically crowds, traveling, or you wake up in the middle of the night with panic. Who would wake up in the middle of the night with panic? You're asleep. And to wake up now, it's your brain going, where the hell am I? Because your eyes and your ankles are giving no data. And it's so crazy because then the nervous system gets knocked out, so your eyes can't calibrate. And what do your eyes use to calibrate? It can't use my computer screen. I'm moving it all the time, and it's a stupid point of reference. It means nothing. It uses the horizon. So you actually need your eyes to find the horizon, your ears to deal with the swishing earth and everything like that, and your feet on the ground. And all of a sudden, your brain goes, I know where I am. I know where I am in space and time. Now, with my feet on the ground, are they raised up onto my toes like I'm about to run? Or am I back on my heels, where my heels and that are pushing down into the ground? That's the biggest part of calibrating. So if you are looking at screen time, you're getting dizziness. And then what happens? I go to bed, I close my eyes, I lift my feet off the ground. I never had a chance to calibrate where I was in space and time. And now all of a sudden my brain goes, hey man, where are you? Where are you falling? Are you okay? Did you fall over? Are you knocked out? You know what I mean? Your body is gathering this data going, wake up and calibrate for us, please. And sometimes all it takes is to wake up, put your feet on the ground. But when it's dark, if your eyes can't get it and your ears are still crap because it hasn't been calibrated, then all of a sudden you're not getting any proper data. Crazy, hey?
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
And like a thing that I learned in uni as well was, you know, when you are getting low on the calcium stores and whatnot, those wild little are they enterocytes that they're kind of
Oh,
like
sure.
little lawnmowers that break down your bones to get that calcium back into circulation.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
from what I'm understanding, what you're saying there is like if we're, you know, not calibrating, we're getting that short-term memory loss, we're getting that lost in space. We could be at a spot where those enterocytes are running all the time, but it's just
Yeah.
gone all weird.
Yeah, and it's just trying to find a place. It's trying to work out where you are in space and time, which is why I find these calibration exercises I do so damn important. Because the days that I miss that, I can just feel myself just getting a little bit lost. I've been moving over the last couple of days, moving house, going from my beautiful acreage into an apartment.
What's that
And
like?
oh man, it is messed up because mainly I can't find a horizon. I can't find fresh air. I don't have that. My body doesn't know where I am yet, and it hasn't caught up. But I will have it. And I do bad with flying and that sort of stuff. You go and do international flying and all that sort of thing. It's so hard for your body to catch up to where you are. It's so unnatural, you know. If you consider that we would be kind of normally we'd be traveling across the ground, like, and then you'd always have that kind of relevance into space and time. Oh man, we can go so deep into all this sort of stuff because I have so many crazy, weird ass theories about that space and time thing. Because early old Einsteins and Newtons and that worked out that time was relative to gravity, you know. And so then we got to talk about, well, is my physical body is attached to gravity, but is my other energetic parts of me attached to any gravity, and is time relevant to that? You know, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm going to go crazy. But some practical stuff we can do is really cool. You just got to get your feet under the ground, eyes to the horizon, and then that will actually allow your ears to calibrate. If you actually have ear problems, one of the ways to work out if you've got ear problems, apart from all those symptoms we just mentioned, is they do that tracking, you know, when they do the finger across your face. You got to keep your head straight and then watch the finger, and it should be smooth. But if it's all jerky, it'll actually flick back to the dodgy ear. Or if you stand up and close your eyes, you'll feel wobbly. And you'll kind of wobble to one side. You'll feel like you're falling to one side. And if it's not good enough, then close your eyes and take one leg off the ground. And you'll find you'll fall to one side. And that's probably the dodgy ear side. Now, you could try to fix the dodgy ear. I think naturopathically, we used to use all sorts of stuff, you know, a lot of the lymphatic drainage sort of herbs and that sort of thing. But a lot of it's just calibrating, just going back to reset your brain to know where you are in space and time with that dodgy ear. Yeah. So, and physios do it too. Physios, you can go to a good physiotherapist that can diagnose vestibular injury, and they'll teach you how to recalibrate it. And typically you do weird stuff like you're walking up and down ramps or uneven surfaces and juggling ribbons, colorful ribbons, really slow ribbons that you juggle. So that way you screw it, and all it is to do is screw up with your ankles and screw up with your eyes. So that forces your ear to kind of get it stuff together. And then once they all calibrate together, you can sleep better and you get rid of a lot of panic and anxiety and claustrophobia and agoraphobia and all those phobias. And
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Cool.
Well, I think that's all epic stuff, but let's be honest, like a lot of people won't do the basic shit.
Yeah.
And
the cheats.
like,
you want the cheat list?
Yeah, I want the cheat list because I want the stuff like, and so I think a lot of other people, they want the stuff that's like cool, but I'm probably not going to listen to you. I'm probably not going to take action on it. Is there some sort of pill or potion that I can take? Because I don't know about you, but in the coaching space, in the clinic, all that sort of stuff, always, you know, talking with people, they just want the thing. What can I take to fix that?
Well, you do both.
So, like,
you do both anyway.
Is there any? Yeah, both is going to be optimal, and that prevention as cure is always best.
Yeah.
But you know, like some people are just like, okay, can you give me a solution right now? Is there something like that?
Yeah, yeah, and that's how we work it, man. That's the way it's supposed to be done, because basically, in the naturopathic stuff, we've got to manage the symptoms and make people feel comfortable and good, so that way we can work on the cause. You know, like we got to kind of break the cycle somehow. So one of the favorite tricks is to look out for NRF2 activators. There's receptors in our body called NRF2. Now, they are involved in a whole cascade of defense mechanisms. But when you actually look at the pathways that the NRF2 receptors initiate, it's full on. So basically, what you'll actually find is electromagnetic radiation. Our body needs anti-inflammatory and antioxidant pathways to protect us from that. NRF2 receptors can do that. Anti-inflammatory for pain relief, NRF2 as well. They work on a lot of the oxidative stress pathways that can lead to damage as associated with cancer, cardiovascular disease, diabetes. They help with sugar regulation. But mainly they've been studied really well to show to protect us from things like mobile phones. And they also encourage the correct detoxification pathways from plastics, pesticides, fertilizers, xenoestrogens. So if you can imagine the future, there's probably going to be a lot of those sort of things.
Oh no. Can everyone hear us in the chat still? It's just frozen for me, so I'm not sure if that's coming through for you guys. Matt's frozen on my end. It's gonna wait for it to pop up in the chat. All right, so Matt's sort of gone there. So I'm just gonna keep running. Yep, he's gone. So all right, Trish is on. I can see Skies is on here, and Helen, Sam. How are you all guys going? I'm just gonna hang out here for a couple minutes. I'm sure that Matt will join back in. Probably his kids have jumped onto possibly their gaming and taken up his Wi-Fi. So that's all good. Hopefully he jumps back on in a minute. But just for all of you guys, how cool do those NRF2 activators sound? And have you guys heard of them before, or anything to do with, any of these calcium channels and how the screen time and all that sort of stuff will keep us stimulated? If so, drop it in here, and I'm happy to have a conversation about that until Matt jumps back on. Okay, so we can hear me, but not Matt. That's sweet, guys. All right, so if Matt doesn't jump back on, I'm just going to go for a bit of a run through on everything that's moving forward. So Matt, as you would have heard, has been moving this week, and he's just gone to, here we go, has moved down to his new place in the Gold Coast. And now that he's settled more, we're going to be regular on the Friday at 9 a.m. every single week. We're going to do a live like this. For now, most of this stuff is going to be public. But moving forward into the future, this will be, for product testers as well. So those of you guys that are interested in the products that Matt formulates, and then we start putting together, what we're going to be doing with that is utilizing you guys as essentially lab rats. And that's who I was for Matt back in the day, with all these different types of creams and stuff in the bodybuilding space. Absolutely loved it. Trying out all of the products and noticing how that affected my body. So if you guys are keen on that, that will be coming up in the next month. We will be making our group more, exclusive for those guys that are going to give us direct feedback from products. And the reason being is because we want to make products that we want and you guys want, but then also get the direct feedback from you guys, so that we've got real data from people that, are interested in the product and are going to notice the difference whilst using the product. And we're completely, open with that, and we want to create studies out of it. So it's going to be super cool. Also, as a product tester, we're going to add on an NFT and things like that, because Matt and I love the crypto space, and we can see, that being super valuable in conjunction with the fitness stuff, the health and the performance, all that sort of jazz. Doesn't look like Matt's going to be jumping back on here live. So if you guys do have any questions right now, okay, what do we got here? Okay, love looking at the horizon. It's so cool to think about all the things that feel so good when you do them, and all the amazing things the body is actually doing whilst these things. Cool. If Matt doesn't just come back on, what I'll do is I'll get him to do a bit of a little live himself, or we'll just jump back on quickly. And I want to give you guys those cheat codes, because it's all well and good with the prevention is better than cure, and I absolutely stand by that, and I'm sure that Matt does as well, with our naturopathic background. So, moving on from that, we also realize that not everyone's going to do the prevention, right? Not everyone is going to do the consistent stuff, and a lot of people, they just want the thing that's going to help them out now. And they're the products that we're going to create, and they're the products that all of you guys are going to get to test out. So absolutely pumped with the direction of the X trials and how's that's going. Okay, people are busy. Yep. I'm so keen. Perfect. All right, guys. Well, I'll just give this one more minute, see if Matt jumps back on, but it seems to me that it's all sort of sort of crashed on his end with the Wi-Fi vibes. I'm sure that you can all resonate with that one. He'll be disappointed in that, because he loves doing these talks and everything like that. And I know you guys love listening to him, just like myself. But yeah, guys, I'm going to start posting in some different quizzes and surveys and things like that too. And then you guys will be able to go through that and see if you're the right fit for the products that we are doing, and anything along those lines, and see if you're the right fit to, give us direct feedback. So sports performance stuff, recovery stuff. I'm really gung-ho on some nootropic stuff and some male sex hormone support stuff too. So Matt has been giving me the insider tips on some of the products and ideas that he's putting together, and I can tell you right now, they're very creative, and can't wait to share them with you all. But we can't share that with you until we've got the raw materials confirmed and put it together and tested it ourselves a little bit, and making sure that it's along all the guidelines and all that sort of jazz. But that's Matt's expertise, so I'll let him talk on that in the coming weeks. So we'll wrap that up for this morning, guys. It was awesome jumping back on here live. But moving forward, we will have quizzes and all that sort of stuff to, make this group a little bit more interactive, get more information out of it, and make the things that you guys really want to have and what we really want to have in our life to just make life better. Because that's what it's all about. For myself, is I just want to be a little bit better every single day. And if we can create products that's going to help that process, then I'm all about it. Alrighty, guys. Thanks heaps to everyone that jumped on live, and I'll see you all through the week in the X Trials Facebook group. 1 second before that. So those of you who don't know about the group, so this is our group, the X Trials group. You can just find it on Facebook. And at the moment, Tom Holloway, exciting future ahead for sure. Yeah, awesome, man. And so that's our Facebook group. Any of you guys who are watching on YouTube or anything like that, then you'll be able to find it there, and that's where all of our quizzes and things are going to be. So looking forward to chatting soon. Peace out. Happy Friday. It's pizza